Oh my lord, patch 1.07. Let's take a look at this shit. Alright, okay, so, first big thing. Separate damage scaling for PvP. There was already separate values for some of the talismans and equipment, but separate damage scaling overall is... I'm extremely excited for that, because hopefully the amount of one-shots and just absurd damage will just be, tweaked down a bit, and everyone won't have to, prioritize their vigor and defense quite as much. We can have a bit more variety in builds. Increased stamina attack in PvP for all attacks against guarded foes. Part 1 of what I imagine is the extended fingerprint shield nerf, which is a long time coming. Improved poise damage in PvP for every weapon's normal attack. Extremely important. Mostly because, once we get further down, you'll see that they've increased poise across the board. Lowered Ash of War power across the board. That is going to be extremely important, because the power and the damage of the Ashes of War currently define, or have previously defined, the meta in almost its entirety. Only a few builds were dealing with things that weren't Ashes of War, and those were the status builds primarily, and even then, there was tons that would make them just ridiculous. We have got a huge thing in the nerf to the Dragon Breaths, a long time goddamn coming, along with Unendurable Frenzy, which continues to be one of the dumbest incantations I've ever seen or experienced. Very powerful, but just so weird to fight, so weird to use. Increased poise damage when using two-handed normal attacks. Excellent. We are gradually getting reasons to actually two-hand weapons. I cannot emphasize how little reason you did have to two-hand a weapon before. If you weren't a strength build, it was basically pointless. Increase the speed of some colossal sword attacks. This is really good because the speed and hit detection of the crouch poke has been decreased, which is also extremely important and a long time coming. Colossal weapons get a speed buff. Very much needed. They were basically useless. Decreased recovery time for colossal swords and colossal weapons. Essentially what they're trying to do is they're trying to dissuade the crouch poke by making every other attack better and the crouch poke worse. They're not just nerfing it, they're giving us something back, which I like. Increased poise damage of hammers, great hammers, and colossal weapons. That is really big because it might actually give you a reason to use hammers currently without much of a reason or a advantage by themselves. Increased guard penetration of all of this good stuff. I personally use this one to go through big great shields with Royal Knight's Resolve, and I am extremely excited to see what we get. The poise rating of some attacks has been increased. I am super happy, if that is what I think it means. I think it means that the hyper armor has been heightened. You don't just get a flat 61 hyper armor anymore. You might get a flat other value, but 60 was just way too low. There was no point in going above 61 poise for that reason, because it would just not be increased by the hyper armor, because it would interact with your current score in a very weird fashion. I think Amir did a video on it. It was very informative. I'd thoroughly recommend that. Poise of all armor has been increased. Thank God. Perhaps we will see less Bull Goat and Banished Knight and Scaled, and perhaps a bit more variety in fashion. That's its own win, in my opinion. Great Shield Talisman and Hammer Talisman have been increased. Cool. Yeah, survivability is being boosted. I'm fine with that. Scholar Shield, Barricade Shield, and Shield Grease have been adjusted. Effects on shields with low guard boost have been adjusted. Excellent. So they've essentially made it more useful for lighter shields and less useful for heavier shields, which is excellent. That's exactly what needed to happen. The guard strength of the Fingerprint Stone Shield has been decreased. Thank God. Decrease the status build-up done by dual-wielded weapons. Jesus Christ, about time. Goodness gracious, I'm happy about that. We've got a bunch of magic adjustments. None of them are particularly notable to me. There's a couple of buffs, there's a couple of alterations to status build-up, a lot of decreased FP consumption across the board. Not every spell, but almost almost everything in every category has some FP reduction, and that is really important because just starting to get into casters myself, yeah, no, you run through that focus point bar real quickly. Founding Reign of Stars has, actually cool, yeah. Magic Glimbra, increased poise damage. Not necessarily something I expected to happen, but like Magic Glimbra is now even more good, and I'm actually fine with that. Karian Piercer has gotten buffed, which is scary as hell. As has Adlers Moonblade. Well, Adlers Moonblade, which is... It seems to be that they're setting it up as a kind of guard counter, so it's got increased status build up against guarded enemies, increased stamina attack power. It really looks like it's being set up to be the Sorcerer's Guard break option. There's a lot of other stuff that we don't particularly care about. The Tibia Summon's got a buff, which I guarantee you will not be enough to make it viable, but you love to see it. What else have we got? Not a huge amount. Scarlet Aeonia got a gigantic buff. Here's, like... It's so far from viable, I can't even expect it to become viable. I just hope it's not terrible anymore, because it's such a cool spell to see. It's just really, really shit. Dragonclaw and Dragonmaw have got a good buff. Improved directional control on Dragonclaw, which is, you'd expect so. It's your hand. You're pretty accurate with your hands. I don't see why it's harder to aim than the Ruin's Greatsword. Yeah, that is good. Easier to hit people with Dragonmaw now, because it was not that easy before. Bestial Sling, reduce the stone throw. That's alright, okay. Okay, yeah. Okay. Decreased poise damage. I'm happy with that. Bestial Sling did way too much poise damage before. Good sweet Christ, it is Christmas. Christmas has come early for weird things. I am... Oh, give me a second. Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, continuing. We've got a lot of general weird adjustments on skills. There's a lot of stuff that is just, gets a slightly buffed attack power. I'm assuming because that scaling in PvP has been altered downwards, and so they're just sort of balancing it. What else have we got? Piercing Fang has become buffed. Not necessarily, enough to make it good, but we'll have to see. Spinning Slash got increased poise damage. Oh, nice, I see, to reflect the increased poise damage for the great weapons and everything. That's good, that's good. Giant Hunt got increased poise damage. That is intense. That's going to make Giant Hunt even better than it already is, which... I'm not against. It's just going to be very scary from now on. Eruption got a buff. I'm happy with that. I might even use it now. Flaming Strike got a buff. Increased duration and attack power that grants the weapon a fire attribute. Reduced delay between the end of actions and being able to... Jesus, so Flaming Strike has gotten even more powerful and spammable, and... I cannot say that I will be avoiding it. I'm excited about that, but goodness, I'm not sure it needed a buff. I mean, Kick did need increased poise damage and stamina attack power against guarded enemies. It needed ridiculous increases in that. It needed to be a guaranteed guard break, but, maybe it's good enough to do its function now. I'm still not going to use it. Moonlight Greatsword has reduced stamina consumption, which is good because when you're a mage, you really don't have that much stamina. You need to split your stats a lot. And they actually added damage detection to the weapon part for the strong and charged attacks, which is good, because that means that getting caught close up is going to be lethal. I'm not sure it needed a buff. It's already quite cheesy. They buffed Corpse Piler just a little bit, and frankly, that's a good idea. they did nerf Rivers of Blood too hard last time. It's a joke. So just a little bit of a buff would be good. With those hitbox changes that it got, like, it has been made far less scary, and it, like, that is as it should be. Rosus' summons. People might be able to hit someone with that now. I know like 3 people who have managed to hit anyone with Rosus' summons, and it's prestigious. Shield Crash has got less status build up because, if you ever saw it before, put that on a fingerprint shield with a blood infusion and you'd proc everything by the time the shield crash is ended. You'd proc Madness, you'd proc Bleed, and you'd do the damage. It was basically an insta-kill. It was stupid. That was very, very much needed. Seppuku, increased damage taken upon activation. Again, I think. Good. And reduced the bleed status build-up effect. Good! Seppuku is still dumb, and I'm still annoyed that it's even in this game. A lot of bug fixes. Adjusted player character control when under certain damage animations. That might... I hope that's a good thing. Oh, they fixed the bug that allowed you only to cast in midair with your right-handed Sacred Seal. They fixed some various FAP glitches. I don't know what exactly that is, but hopefully it's the other part of the helmet swap glitch. Fixed a bug that could cause death and result in the player becoming stuck in some locations. I hope that relates to some of the PvP spawns, because they are a shit show. Hopefully that fixes a couple of other AFK farming places. I doubt that they'll make much of a difference. And performance improvements and bug fixes. Hopefully that means that we have less crashes on PC. This was a hell of an update. A fingerprint nerf, a dragon breath nerf, a status proc nerf, a dual weapon status proc nerf. We got so many things that were desperately needed, plus separate damage scaling for PvP. I'm super excited.